Good morning, Big Brother Hometown's Viewing Lounge. I am CLC. This is another edition of Morning 2 with CLC. I'm not alone. He's already in the stream. He's just off camera, and God knows what we're doing today.
It's time for America's Game! Wheel of Fortune! And here's your host, Pat Sajak! Live from Santa B, New Mexico, it's America's Game Wheel of Fortune.
Girl, if this is Erica's game, this is the Wheel of Misfortune, because my God, it was rough last night for her.
Oh, it was.
And we talked about it on our impromptu screaming match, UFC 198 between production. That she had a rough night, like coming into the comp, so like her head was just not in the zone.
Oh,
it's rough. It's rough. I mean, at least this season went a lot better than 13.
Yeah, I still haven't even watched that competition. I've just heard the horror story. So
I feel Wheel of Fortune has been redeemed.
It has,
and we can continue hosting this competition.
Last night moved at a good pace. Yes, people missed puzzles they should have solved, but hey. It went well.
You know, doesn't matter. The person who won the HOH is probably winning the veto today, so ultimately, does it matter? Not really. So, whatever.
He should throw it today. I guess he wants the record, but
yeah,
he has not in terms of his own mental state, he has no reason to care.
He really doesn't. I mean, I think the only goal here is to ensure Danielle doesn't win and send her out the door.
Right.
Which, yeah, fair. We'll see. But we're here to discuss days 25 and 26, so AKA just the entire last round, which there isn't that much to talk about. I mean, really, not a whole ton goes on, but I definitely want to highlight ultimately two players here. One, Angelica, because I think Angelica plays this round very, very well. And then the other player I want to highlight for his just passion for the game is AJ. And that'll kind of be it, because we kind of really discussed, end game, what we're wanting, what we think will happen in the unofficial mess report on Facebook. So we're not going to repeat that here, because you've got a UFC match to go watch while we all yell at each other.
Yeah.
On day 25, Angelica absolutely crushes the What the Bleep competition. She eats everybody, and it's a testament to how much effort she put into the house chat. She was one of the biggest talkers in it, and it really paid off for her. So hint to the people who want to play BBH, pay into the house chat. Yeah. Pay into the house chat.
Yeah, well, I mean, Angelica even said that she read the whole house chat the night before, read the whole thing. Yeah. And so you do that, that's a recipe for success.
Exactly. The comps are the comps. They always those ones are staples. They're going to come eventually. Be prepared for it. Ultimately, the nominations aren't shocking. Danielle volunteers to sit next to Ryan, and the Revengers agree. Hey, yeah, sure, it's time to tell Ryan about why he's going on the block, why we've been so against him this time. I mean, at this point, it's the Revengers versus Ryan, so we can tell him whatever.
Yeah.
Ryan doesn't take this well.
At least on the surface, he doesn't.
Yeah, on the surface level, he obviously knows his position in this game before the dissemination of information here to him. Angelica calls him and he's like, "Am I going on the block?" And she goes, "Well, yeah, I'm in an alliance with literally everyone else in the game. We've been together since the jury phase of this game. So yeah, you have to go up." He goes, "Cool, good luck," and hangs up on her. And then proceeds to leave all of his one-on-one chats. And then proceeds to go to the house chat and says, "Good luck to y'all. Hope I don't win the veto tomorrow." Which, spoiler alert, he does.
He does.
What do you think? What do you think about this from Ryan? Because I mean, obviously, we know that he's being dramatic to be dramatic.
Yeah, he's just being a troll.
What do you make of this?
What do I make of it? I want to come on here and say, here's what my initial gut reaction was. Is what I want to say, but I don't know if it matters. I want to say that it's such bad gameplay, and I want to say it's such bad jury management. It's you do need the respect of these people to get their votes at the end. I want to say all those things, But as we've chronicled, like, he could. I think he could get on cam at this point and burn a kitten alive, and his social game standing is gonna be the same. It doesn't matter at this point. Maybe not burn a kitten alive, but that might change it. But but otherwise, it's just what does it matter what Ryan does at this point? He can just run around, do whatever he wants. He can yell at people. He can, leave group chats. He can leave the house chat for all I care. His social standing is a social standing, and his path to the end is his path to the end, and that is through these competitions. And he's gonna have to answer for his social standing regardless of what he does. So, maybe someone asks him, "Why'd you leave all the group messages?" And then he can just be like, "I was just trolling." And then they could be okay. But what about the rest of your social game? And we talk about that. So that's kind of what I make of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's an odd choice down the stretch, knowing that your jury management is lackluster with the group of people who are still in the game. So going to the house chat and basically waging war and being like, "Oh, these are the women who treated me poorly in high school," which is a complete lie because he went to an all-male high school. But him just saying that. Angelica, Erica, Danielle have all talked about. They're like, "What the hell is this man on? Why is he saying shit like this? It's a game." So he's just doing things that I think are just more souring people. But ultimately, I think these people probably wouldn't have voted for him in the first place. So it is what it is. I can't blame him too much. I did this on day one of BBH9. So but I also wasn't in contention to win the game. So
Yeah, and you did it with one person after they. Wow, I'm defending this. Not me defending this. I'm gonna stop myself now.
No. Say it.
Well, I was gonna say, she did something to you that had a negative effect on your game, so you reacted in a negative way. Ryan is just being a troll and is discovering the information that's. Not been in front of him the whole time and necessarily, but information he could have sleuthed out if he wanted.
Yeah, that's fair. No, absolutely. It's been there. And we talked about it last night. It's Ryan has put no effort in trying to gauge where these votes are going as of late. Quite literally since he was it's the double eviction. Yeah. So when Daniel and Jack went home to the top 8, he hasn't put much effort into figuring out where people are voting, why people are voting, trying to get on calls with people to discuss it. Had he done those things, he probably could have figured out why AJ, Angelica, Erica, and Danielle have been acting the way that they do and vote the way that they have been. But he didn't put any effort in doing that. So, he stays clueless and finds out here on day 25 that there's been a 4-person alliance and subsequently a 5-person alliance plans against him. Leaving one chat and targeting a person is a strategy. Leaving all chats. You know what?
Yeah,
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Wow. I'm clipping this.
Like I said, it doesn't matter. If he loses that competition, he goes home, regardless if he stays in those chats or not. So,
very fair point. The last thing that really happens on day 25 is this push from Angelica. Assuming Ryan wins the veto, which is the correct assumption on her part because he does, Angelica wants AJ to be the renomination and ultimately to be evicted. And she knows that she just needs Erica's vote. She knows Ryan will save AJ against Danielle because Danielle's, 1, a better competitor, and 2, has a better chance to win the game at the end. And Angelica tells Erica, we need to vote out AJ. Because ultimately Ryan has to go and Danielle's the only person who can consistently go toe-to-toe with him and beat him. And if Ryan wins out at Final Four, AJ's not going to be on the block and it's going to be Angelica and Eric up on the block. Or if Ryan has the sole vote because he doesn't win the HOH but wins the veto and one of them is up against AJ on the block, the girl's getting sent home. Ultimately, Angelica has the right read here in the sense of if you're trying to preserve longevity with Ryan still in the game, you have to cut AJ. As much as Ryan and AJ do not have a deal, do not have anything going on, Ryan wants AJ around because he feels burned by the women first and foremost. And I think Ryan thinks AJ is the easiest beat, not only in competitions, but also just end game wise. Yeah. So puts into the universe. what's happening there. But Erica is obviously hesitant. AJ is her person. It was Lance and now is AJ. Like, Erica does not want to lose her 2 final 2s back to back and is very hesitant and doesn't want to really discuss this until it's official. But starts to see it. Like, she's making fair points. On the flip side, she brings up if Danielle and Ryan are still in this game, what are the odds that one of them wins HOH and the other one wins veto? And then it's Angelica and Erica up on the block anyway. So ultimately, it's something to consider, and it really doesn't. This topic doesn't come into fruition until day 26. So on day 26, Ryan wins the face morph veto as suspected. And Angelica,
in a valiant effort by all. Like,
very absolutely,
close. Like, this
Great
wasn't a
times.
runaway.
No, everyone did. I mean, all 4. I mean, outside of AJ, when you see this back, love you. But girl, for Allie and Julia, you were guessing Jabbar.
Classic.
But everyone else, Angelica got 4th place, and her score was, I think, like 10 seconds off the winning time in 13, and she had 1 extra face morph to do this season. So,
right.
Factoring that all in here, Angelica could have won last seas's face morph. So, props to her, but everyone really...
congrats on winning the BBH 13 Final 5 veto.
Or whatever the hell it was. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, it was earlier.
I think Jamie won, so that was when he was going to get backdoored. So Final 9, Final 10?
Something like that.
He did a lot earlier. Angelica renominates AJ. So let's talk about it. I mean, it's the whole, the whole storyline of day 26 is Erica's decision. Does she go with Angelica's logic and play with her head, or does Erica play with her heart? Let's talk about Angelica's logic. What are your thoughts on Angelica?
Okay, so yeah, the crux of this argument is that it's not even your fault, AJ. It's because Ryan is going to take you, and then I'm screwed. Mm-hmm. And so that is pretty valid. And I would say it's very valid. I think there's complete merit to that strategic line of thinking, and that's where AJ's battle to flip this back on him starts downhill, because Angelica has built this case against him that he has to climb up against. So there's that, and then I think that then Erica goes to AJ, and that's kind of where the whole everything starts, and where I really thought last night that Erica might flip. There were several times I thought she might, but Erica goes to AJ and pretty much explains everything that's going on. Says Angelica wants you out for these reasons, yada yada, and then AJ presents his case, and his case is basically loyalty. Like, I have been riding with you this whole time. I will ride with you all the way to the end of this game. He tries to distance himself from Ryan, and that's what you saw last night on the eviction. He continuously tries to. He's like that man has no control over my life. Like, he means nothing to me. He is just like a vapor in the wind. I am AJ. I'm riding with you. Like, trust in me, the person that is going to carry. We're going to carry each other. AJ may not be able to carry Erica to the end, but that is his pitch. Also valid, also true. And it's these, and so while it is head versus heart, there is some head versus head here, in these two strategic points. But the heart eventually starts creeping in terms of the main reason Erica could flip.
Yeah. Ultimately, Erica does decide to go with her head, at least Angelica's head or Angelica's logic here versus AJ's logic, and, chooses to vote out AJ, forcing a tie. What also doesn't help is Ryan telling, Angelica and Erica, hey, I'm voting to save AJ here. How he explains why he's voting out Danielle to Danielle, gives Danielle some firing power to be like, oh, yeah, he literally said that, you aren't good for my game as opposed to the other nominee. And Danielle runs with that. And it's like, oh, okay, so AJ is good for your game. Interesting. All of those things combined, ultimately, and I said it in the Discord, I think the prevailing storyline here is, I think people are just coming to terms with the fact that Ryan's going to be at the end. I think that they're just coming with terms to it. And at this point, it is, how can I be sitting next to him? How can I get him to choose me if he wins out? And Erica and Angelica take the right strategy here and do evict AJ, because Ryan would take AJ over all of them. And by eliminating AJ, Ryan is forced to now have to bring somebody new to the final two. It'll be Erica or Angelica. I'm not sure who it is at this time. It's unclear, and we talked about it last night. Angelica is the strategic force. Erica is the social force, at least what is being perceived by the players in the game. So I'm not sure which one he deems to be more important. Obviously, we know that Angelica has the stronger game in terms of the jury and what the jury would like to see. So that's interesting. But, I mean, the heart starts to creep in near the end of the eviction period. I thought I knew what was happening until AJ and Erica get on call and have a very touching call.
Yeah. That call is brought on because Erica sends big paragraph to AJ about why he's going home. AJ doesn't read it. He doesn't need to read it. He knows what it says. He knows what it says.
He reads like, the first three words. And he goes, "Oh, okay, nope."
Okay, and hits the call button and gets on this call. And boy, oh boy, so we were streaming it. Then they were like, "Hey, let's not stream this." So we cut it and just kind of gave a little play-by-play as we could, kind of talk through. But us on production did sit in and listen to the call. And I don't feel it's out of bounds to discuss what happened on the call, because it was some production felt it was just hard to watch. I felt it was hard to watch, but also like really like beautiful. Like I hate to over dramatize it, but there was many a tear on both ends. You just saw how badly AJ realizing that he wanted this. In that moment, I think he knew how much he wanted it, but in that moment where it was slipping out of his hands, and he was doing everything he could, like the sand falling through his hand, he's doing everything he can to hold on, and the emotions spilling out. And there were times where I was like, it's so hard because that AJ is not trying to emotionally manipulate her.
No.
And I can sense that he realizes that could be accidentally happening. And he's not, and he's trying so hard to fight against it. He's apologizing over and over and over and over again. He's like, because he doesn't want to do that. He wants to stay on the merits of his game. He doesn't want to stay on the merits of the fact that he got emotional, which, emotions are a part of the game. But he even said, like, I kept telling myself I'm a fighter. I'm going to keep fighting. And there were moments where the emotion side would die down and the strategic conversation would continue to like creep back in. And in those moments was when I wanted AJ to really try and like take the deep breath and drive in some last few points, because there were moments where Erica said, I still don't know. I haven't submitted a vote. I still don't know. And I think just like it's so hard. It's so hard because all it takes in those kind of conversations is for AJ to let up just a little bit, enough for Erica to feel like she has the blessing to vote him out. And there were moments where that almost happened, like we towed that line and then we'd come back. And we towed that line again, we'd come back. And AJ kept fighting and fighting and fighting. But ultimately at the end, AJ had enough, kind of, in a sense that he was like, I can't stay in this call anymore. And in his mind, he's like, I got to call Angelica. That's my real last ditch, because she's going to break the tie. If I can't get Erica, might as well try and get Angelica. He runs to Angelica. They get on a call. This is minutes before the eviction. Erica's at this point going to film her vote to go vote out AJ, which I haven't even watched. I just was reported to me that it was a 1-1 tie. I'm sure. And then he gets on the call and like instant tears on both ends, like talking about this. And Angelica's like, you can't do this to me. And Angelica's just like, look, AJ, it's not even your fault. He's like, it's Ryan. And this is why AJ's like, I don't care about Ryan. And Angelica's like, but I have to, because if I don't, then I could be absolutely screwed in this next round. And it's down to the 5 of us, and it only can get down to the 2 of us. And I got to figure out how it's me, and you got to respect it, kind of thing. And then we got on stream. What are your takeaways from it all?
I agree with the decision that's been made. Number one, out the gate, and I obviously didn't like pick a fight in the Discord, but the Discord is very pro AJ. Not that they aren't pro Danielle, but the Discord is very pro AJ and wanted AJ to survive. And I was like, y'all, I love AJ as much as everyone else does. AJ got to go here. He do. And I'm happy that Erica and Angelica stick to their guns and do it. But this has been probably the most touching moment of the season for me. And I hate that I'm saying that I love to see this happen, but like I love to see the passion come out. I love to see. We saw a little bit with Daniel, and Daniel trying to say it the double is a little bit more pointed, and a little bit more feisty,
right?
Which I still enjoy. Like I want to see people freaking fight to be here. I want to see it. Like this game is important to so many people, and doing well is important. Like I want to see you. Like yes, this game is for charity at the end of the day here. Like they're not like going away with $500,000. So like I want to see these people fight to be here, and just seeing AJ never give up and really give everything he had until literally like he just could not be on that call anymore.
Right.
He had 5 minutes to call Angelica before we had to go live. Like he literally was like, he stayed until the last second he could with Erica fighting. And I mean, all the props to him, because we really hadn't seen that from AJ. Like we had seen really great strategic moments of him knowing what to do and how to really balance these conversations with the people going out, and seeing how he's handled other people fight for their lives. But we haven't really seen AJ have to really fight for his. And it was just beautiful and touching just to see the way that Erica and AJ could have an open conversation about everything happening, and how, you know, he laid out his story knowing that really it sucks because nothing AJ could have said would have changed it. Like I really don't think in deep down, nothing he could have said would have changed it, and has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with Ryan. Had Ryan gone around saying that he was going to evict AJ, lying to Erica, and Erica flip her vote, be like, I'm going to tie it, and actually in the process evict Danielle. Like there were things that Ryan could have done to get his way, and it sucks that like AJ's game falls because of his, you know, inadvertent connection to Ryan. It sucks.
Right.
It hurts. It hurts to see, but like it's the right move for the two gals.
We can leave it at this, but I do want to like talk on it from like, I mean, I've talked about it from AJ's point of view, but also from like, and a little bit from ours, but from mine, it's so weird for me. Like, and I know that over the last year or so, Big Brother Hometowns has really entered what Mitchell has called the org zeitgeist. But where I come from was a place where before this, I was cleaning the house, and for whatever reason, I decided to put on Big Brother Hometowns 2. Just watching, and I was just like, this is where this started, and this is where it is now. And so to see like internet strangers, which they're no longer strangers, but once internet strangers, like pouring their souls out for this game that I decided to make for my friends a couple years ago is wild. And like, and I think a lot, I just enjoyed AJ so much. I obviously have been super vocal about that. And like, it even came out last night with me when I was, you know, saying goodbye to AJ in the game sense. You know, I'm not saying goodbye to AJ, but like, and I got emotional. I was like, this is hard. Like, we care so much about this because this stuff does matter to us. And I've said this a million times. I walk out my front door, no one cares about any of this, but I sit here behind the screen, and it's like a huge part of my world. And so to see other people put that much equal effort into it, and that much love and care and heart and soul and fight, is just so fun and so cool. There is great beauty. I've said this a lot. There's great beauty in loss, in sometimes in life, but in the context of these games, there's great beauty in loss. Like we see, you know, Dan robbed at the doorstep of season 11. We see Kelly Wentworth robbed at the doorstep of Survivor Cambodia. We see this AJ devastating loss. Like there's great beauty in that because of how much people put in and care. And that's why we do this, kind of.
Absolutely. And it hurt. It hurt a lot because I don't know what this season would be without AJ on a strategic level, but also just on just how entertaining this has been. He has been such a fun source of entertainment. It really has calmed a lot of people down in this game. Like this game has gotten very stressful at times. At live night with Robert going was very emotional for a lot of people. And there were lots of, dissension coming out of that. This double eviction vote with how Daniel went out, this vote with AJ, the vote with Lands. I mean, people feeling like they wanted to vote out Angelica, but didn't really get the opportunity to because Danielle kind of forced them into a bind there with having to either break their word or just vote out Lands. Like there have been many, many, many times where, I mean, the Courtney nomination on day 8, day 7, whenever that happened, lots of times that this game has gotten to a point where people have been in not the best mindset, and that happens in every org. But AJ has always been there to really cheer everyone up, calm everyone down, and really get everyone back into the sense of like, this is a game, we're here to have fun, so let's have fun. And I'm so thankful for everything that he's done, and it sucks to see him leave here literally in the worst case scenario that could have happened for him. Like, I mean, quite literally. I mean, had Erica won, Erica couldn't have won, but like had Danielle won the top 5 HOH, no, she couldn't have. God, I'm talking in circles here. Had Erica won the top 5 HOH here, I'm not sure if AJ would have been the renomination.
Right.
I would assume it would have been Danielle versus Angelica, like quite literally Angelica winning, Ryan winning the veto, and Angelica doing what she needed to do to take AJ out. I mean, all props to Danielle and Angelica in the end game here. Truly fantastic games, and it sucks that I think both of them might get clipped here because of competitions. I mean that's Big Brother, and we'll look back at rounds where they could have backdoor. I mean, I guess they couldn't have backdoored Ryan, but because he's been safe since the top 10.
Sorry, I just had this thought, and I'll say, and not to go back to last night's conversation, but I think, but I also think that is also such why I don't care for Ryan's game. Like, not that he doesn't care, not that he doesn't have the same kind of heart, soul, and fight, but I don't feel like the story that Ryan has been telling through his game is anywhere in comparison to the story of the games of AJ, Erica, Angelica, or Danielle that had just have so much more depth to it and so much more heart behind it. Where Ryan is just like he's like an evil final boss in a video game. It's like, how are we gonna take him down? Like he's like in a lot of ways, Ryan is the villain of the season, and that's okay. Like that.
He is.
It's not a bad thing. And so I just I'm not finding myself rooting for that. And VL, if you're watching this now, watching this later, I am loving that you are loving the Ryan Taylor story. Like, and I totally validate that and appreciate that. It's just not been for me.
And same, I said it last night, like it's subjectively not interesting and not compelling to me, just because Ryan's not a character that I'm rooting for all the same reasons that Josh just said. I see why Ryan is rootable. I can see why people are rooting for him. Just me and how I would value the game, and like just seeing the lack of, social and strategic gameplay up, through most of the game in comparison to the other 3 and even AJ. I'm just not rooting for him as much as I was rooting for everyone else. He'll be a fine winner. He'll go if he goes on to win it, which I don't think he will. Good on him. And we'll talk, and the topic will, the season will go on. And honestly, the focus will shift to Tommy, who had been saying all throughout the pre-jury, you better backdoor Ryan when you have the opportunity, and no one did. And then I was running through. Spoiler alert: the veto today is Jeopardy. And I was running through creating questions. I legitimately think he has won the veto the last 5 rounds.
Yeah, tip to the players in Jeopardy today. If the question is who won this competition, just guess Ryan if you don't know. You have a good shot.
He won the top 10 veto under Jack to save AJ. He won both competitions at top 9 because he won, it was I Spy. He won the double eviction veto to save himself. He won the top 6 veto to save himself, and he won the top veto to save himself as well. He's won the last 5 vetoes. This man has been untouchable since top 10. And as I said it last night that he has been untouchable since top 10, but it just hit me that all of those wins have been vetoes outside of his top 9 HOH as well. But I was like, shit. Fucking hell. It's insane. It's insane that he's won.
So when he won Final 9 HOH, did he win the veto?
He won both. Yeah, he won out that round.
Because it could all come down to that extra zero that excuse me, that Angelica put on her time for the final knockout comp answer.
Yeah, I mean, there have been multiple moments in these challenges where Ryan squeaks out a victory had this one little thing gone differently. Like he wants to stay or fold veto. If Angelica folds round 1, he's out. Which I'm just gonna say that in the universe. Why do people stay in round 1? You have 3 folds, bitch. Yeah. I'm folding. I'm moving on to the next round. I don't give a rat's ass what anyone else is doing. Like I was shocked to see 4 people stay. I'm like, oh my god, not this. Had that gone differently, Ryan's out of the game.
Well, that's great transition point to last night. AJ's evicted. We roll into playing Wheel of Fortune.
Literally.
And we play a nice game of Wheel of Fortune, just like you've been watching your whole life at 7:00 every night on your local ABC affiliate, and just like sometimes on the show, you wanna just shake the person that can't solve the puzzle, and for whatever reason, it was Erica and the curse of the first word. She could not figure out the first word of basically every puzzle. It was the luxury golf course. She eventually got members in good standing, but that took her a while.
She couldn't get topped. French onion soup coated with cheese. Yeah. That one hurt. Santa Fe, New Mexico. She couldn't figure out what the hell.
Here's the thing that I like. You gotta look at the category. And if you look at the category, unless you just have never heard of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and that's a whole other thing, but if you just look at the category on the map, she knew New Mexico. Everyone knew New Mexico. I mean, Ryan knew the puzzle probably but
Ryan was stressing.
He was so stressed because he knew he was hopeless. All he had to do was wait and hope that he got a turn. And Erica guesses L in the Santa Fe, New Mexico, and once she said L, I even said, did you just say L? You
were like, I want to. I mean, that's what I did with Angelica at the knockout trivia. I'm like, I'm sorry, can you confirm with me? Does that say 10,200? Yeah. Like, it's when an answer is so ridiculously wrong. It's like, I need you to confirm that you said that, please.
And so once she said L, it was over. Because it didn't matter what Danielle did. She didn't have enough letters on the board to get enough money. I guess you said that there was maybe enough if she only landed on thousands on the wheel spin and guessed every letter right.
Been beautifully to have.
But she didn't know the puzzle either because she was of
stand-up Canadian.
Is she?
I think she's Canadian.
Oh, interesting.
But I mean, like, still, it wouldn't have mattered. She couldn't have won the comp anyway.
Yeah, she wasn't going to win.
But I'll give her the benefit of the doubt because I think she's Canadian. So I'll give her Erica, girl, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
I had to know every capital in 5th grade. I'm in Texas where the public education system is garbage. There is no excuse.
But was just so brutal. If she gets any of those puzzles, but especially obviously oh, that's right. Dan says that Danielle is from Philly.
Oh, Danielle's from Philly. I don't know why I thought she's from. Why did I think she was Canadian? Okay, then fuck I go back on my word. Danielle, you're just as culpable as Erica. I try to give my queen some advantage here. Be like, I think she's Canadian.
But at that point, like I said, it didn't matter. It was all on Erica to win that. And granted, what does it matter? Because Ryan's going to win Jeopardy today.
Get it of the Mid-Atlantic. I mean, I can't lie. I threw in some hard questions here to not to spite Ryan, but I want to see these people have been studying. I'm not going to make this easy. I'm not just going to give questions that if you study the baseline of information.
So, fun fact about Jeopardy. I was interested. I'm glad you said that because it brings up an interesting conversation about Jeopardy. I don't know. Did I ever tell you the story I heard or the research that I did on the losing game of James Holzhauer in his Jeopardy run? The losing game of when James Holzhauer a couple years ago.
No, I have heard this. Yes, no, I watched the video on it. Is it a YouTube video? Yeah, I've seen it.
It was the statistically easiest game in Jeopardy history.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And the reason being is because 90% of Jeopardy players know 90% of the questions. So at that point, it just becomes about buzzer. The Jeopardy producers, in theory, are kind of trying to get James out because it's not worth the ratings and him losing. It doesn't matter to them. Like, it doesn't matter to them. So a couple times they tried the inverse and gave him the hardest one possible. But that favors James because he knows he's smarter than everyone.
He's so smart. Yeah.
Right. So when they gave him the statistically easiest board, it just came down to buzzer speed, and he lost. So I was thinking about that. In this, I was like, if we make the question so hard, does it matter? Because Ryan probably is going to know it anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Fuck my
Angelica and Erica have also been studying a lot. I don't think Danielle's winning today because last night Angelica goes, "Hey girl, you better start studying your days." And she goes, "Should I be studying that?" And she was like, "Oh, yeah." And so I'm excited to see how it plays out today, especially now that the threat of Ryan Taylor is kind of off the board because he's already safe. So I'm just curious to see how it plays out and see how well they do in terms of that's funny.
Yeah, that conversation with Angelica is so good because Angelica's just trying to find any reason for AJ to like give her permission to put him up, even though she's already going to do it. And then she's like, "Have you been studying days?" And he's like, "Oh fuck it, just put me up." Because Angelica's whole thing was like, "Who can beat Ryan? Like, can you beat Ryan?" And AJ's like, "No, I'm good at comps. I'm better than Danielle, or I'm better than Erica." And then she was like, "Days?" And he goes, "Oh fuck it, I can't win this battle. Like, fine, put me up. It's fine." So, yeah, it was a fun conversation.
It will be interesting today. I'm excited to follow along.
I totally forgot about that video until you brought it up. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think it kind of lives rent free in my mind. I think about it all the time.
I guess I chose to go. Yeah, I guess I chose to go away from the easy one because I don't want this competition to boil down to who finds the daily double when they find it.
Yeah, no, I think that's the right call. It just reminded me of it. And I thought it was
no, and that's a. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I mean, I do want Ryan to lose. I mean, but I'm not going to rig it for Ryan to lose.
Speaking of Jeopardy, Dan broke this news to me. Did you see this? Mike Richards is out.
What?
He's out because of the controversial comments he made on that podcast years ago. He essentially is like being canceled, and Sony, he stepped down himself. Sony probably forced his hand a little bit, but yeah, Mike Richards is out, and they were about to start production like this week, and he's out. So lots of Jeopardy news today.
What did he say?
I don't remember, but he just made some who knows, some kind of bad remarks about someone or something. I don't remember. I don't want to say wrong, but you can look it up. If you look up Mike Richards right now, it's been all over the news the last couple of days in terms of the comments he made on podcasts years ago, and people
there you go. It'd be disparaging remarks about Jews and women.
Yeah, that'll get you.
Now he's still the executive producer, so Sony doesn't care that much.
Eric said, "Oh, is that what they say? He's staying as executive?
He's still executive producer. Yeah,
fine. Fine.
That Eric, that's really fucking funny.
That is funny though. Aaron Rodgers was a very bad host.
Bad host. Sorry.
I think he's great, but he was just boring. I know a lot of people want LeVar Burton. I didn't watch any of his episodes. I didn't know if he was good or not.
If you are not #Team Mayim Bialik, I don't want you. I don't want you here.
Well, she's on though.
She's doing like the spin-offs and the primetime shit.
And I think that's perfect.
I want her to do the real thing. I don't care.
Yeah,
Mayim Bialik was my favorite.
She was my favorite too. Or honestly, give me Ken Jennings.
Seriously, fuck it. I'm fine with Ken and Mayim just splitting at halftime.
That would be awesome.
I don't need a permanent host as long as it's people that I'm okay with. I don't like this rotating schedule every 2 weeks because we get really bad ones and really good ones. But give me Mayim any day. Love her.
And I've been behind. I've been a little bit behind on Jeopardy, but my dad's been calling me every day, and I finally got to watch this new guy that's on a run right now.
Oh yeah, he's on a million games at this point. Yeah, he's over 500,000.
Yeah, he's fun. He's very James-esque in how he plays, and
I forget what's his name.
Couldn't tell you.
God, it's gonna bug. It's like something something. I don't know. I've been watching all of his games. I don't know what his name is right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Jeopardy.
That's your Jeopardy tea for the day.
Yeah.
But today, Jeopardy going live 4 times on the Facebook. The first one starts in about 50 minutes with Danielle, and then we'll get Erica later in the afternoon, and Angelica and Ryan at some point in time. Who the fuck knows? Nominations will be coming soon. Not like they really matter at the end of the day here, but Ryan has to nominate 2 people coming soon.
It's probably going to be Erica and Danielle, if I had to guess.
Would be my assumption. I mean, it's a fair assumption based on what he's done in the past.
Which current or former BBH contestant would you want to be the permanent Jeopardy host? Well, the real answer is me. But that's a good question. Who would make a good host?
I guess I'll say Mitchell Hammond.
Yeah, he would do a good job. That's a good call.
I'll say Hammond. Someone who can be like personable, but like at the end of the day, here is still like serious and like can read the questions in a serious way.
He has a good speaking voice. He would be good.
Yeah, I'll go Hammond, but I don't know. There are probably plenty of people who could do it in the zeitgeist. I mean, Dan could fucking do it.
Yeah,
like, Dan's a good pick too. I don't know. I'll go Hammond.
We should host some show. I know, like we do a lot of trivia. It would be fun to just host a Jeopardy night. Anyway.
If you want more suggestions for off-season content, reach out to Josh. We have plenty of things to do in the off-season. Jeopardy tonight. Check out the X interviews if you've not done so. 5 of them are already done for our first 5 jurors. AJ and Lan still to come probably this weekend, along with whoever gets evicted tonight. So all the X interviews will be done by Sunday. Finale on Monday night, probably I think starting at 9:00, we'll have our final 3 compete live in the part 3 of the HOH competition. So part 2 will go live probably on Sunday, and then part 1 is non-live, and we'll just give you results in the Discord. Check out those. If you've not subscribed yet to the YouTube page, Big Brother Hometowns YouTube, watch season 13. It is out. There's no excuse, and go send all of the contestants some love, but specifically our own production over Crystal, who wins. Go give her some love.
Spoilers.
Well, I mean, if you haven't realized Crystal has won Big Brother Hometowns 13, where have you been?
Yeah.
I have bought my 852 hoodie, and I'm excited
for
851 to come in, and I'm excited. But if you want an 851 or a Metadata shirt, they're really cute. Thank you, Daniel, for designing. They're in the Big Brother Hometown store. But we don't have anything else. If you want our thoughts, all of production's thoughts about the end game and our final 4 and what we want and what we like and what we don't like, go to the Facebook and check out our unofficial mess report, because it has everything you need there. It has comedy, it has us fighting, it has some content like actually about the game sprinkled in here and there, but that's a fun 45-minute trip for y'all to enjoy at some point. But that's all I have. Do you have anything, Josh?
I'm good.
Alrighty. Well, for the BBH himself, Josh Gonzalo, for me, CLC, that's it for today. But catch me this weekend doing some fun shit at 10:30, doing some rankings and assessing our final house guests. So catch me at 10:30 all this weekend and on Monday. But until next time, stay thirsty, my friends. Bye.